There are many theme parks that feature expansive roller coaster collections, parks that try to add as many thrill rides as they possibly can. Today, we look at the parks that feature the most roller coasters in the world. We're going to cover each park that has at least 15 coasters as of June 20th, 2024. Because of this video's nature, this is going to be outdated pretty quickly. The moment a park adds a new coaster or even removes an old one, the numbers will be changed as to how many coasters they have. But we can still appreciate what these parks have as of June 2024. Kings Island, 15 coasters. This park is located in Mason, Ohio, and it originally opened as Kings Island back in 1972. The park kept that name up until 1992, but for 1993 it was renamed Paramount's Kings Island, and we started seeing some of the Paramount themes enter the park. That license ended in 2006 when the park was purchased by Cedar Fair. Kings Island opened with 3 coasters in 1972. Their most recent coaster addition was actually this year with the new Vekoma Family Boomerang coaster. In the minds of a lot of coaster enthusiasts, this is right there for the best Cedar Fair park. We'll talk about another Cedar Fair park in Ohio a little bit later that has just a few more coasters, but Kings Island does a lot right. Some of the night rides in this park are pretty legendary, as the wooden coasters or other steel coasters go deep into the woods. Six Flags Great America, 15 coasters. Another American park, this one can be found in Gurnee, Illinois, and it's been open since 1976. This has been known as Six Flags Great America for almost 40 years, but from 1976 to 1984, it was called Marriott's Great America, and it was one of 2 theme parks Marriott made and built in the 1970s, the other being now California's Great America in Santa Clara, California. While Marriott's investment didn't really pan out, this has become a very successful Six Flags park, and it always seems like this place has crowds. Like Kings Island, Six Flags Great America originally opened with 3 coasters, and of course Six Flags has added many more since that point. In fact, their last coaster addition was in 2019. Considering this park's size and its popularity, I'm a bit surprised that it's going to be at least 6 years between coaster investments. Even if they get one next year, it'll still be 2019 to 2025. But even with that somewhat unfortunate fact for Six Flags Great America fans, this is still definitely one of the favorites of the Six Flags chain. Cedar Point, 17 coasters. This is a bit older than the previous 2 parks we talked about. Cedar Point opened all the way back in 1870. This is the other Cedar Fair, Ohio park that I mentioned earlier, this one being located on Lake Erie in Sandusky, Ohio. The park received its first coaster way back when in 1902, with their last coaster addition coming this year with Top Thrill 2. Cedar Fair loves to pour money into this place, and I would too. It's a very popular park with a lot of popular rides. Cedar Point is one of, if not the best, amusement park in the entire United States of America, and it might be the best amusement park in the entire world, to be honest. They're so well rounded from a ride perspective, and the location is really good. The one downside about Cedar Point from a location perspective is the fact that they're on a peninsula and are therefore landlocked. So even though this park has tons of coasters, it's going to be difficult to add new ones in the future. Because of this, will we see Cedar Point get to the 20 coaster mark in the future? I don't know. I'm not sure if there's space in the park for another 3 roller coasters in addition to all the amazing rides they already have. There's no doubt that this is one of the top bucket list parks for me and for many others who have yet to visit. Canada's Wonderland, 18 coasters. Here's our first non-American park. Canada's Wonderland has been operating in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada since 1981. This is yet another Cedar Fair park, but it has a similar story to Kings Island in the sense that it was a former Paramount park. It was owned by Paramount from 1994 to 2006. Canada's biggest theme park started off pretty strong. They had 4 coasters opening day, and they've only ever closed 1 roller coaster in their entire history, which is pretty impressive. Though a lot of people say some of the coasters there should be closed. This is the first time where we get into the conversation of quality versus quantity, and this will come up again in a moment with the next park. But Canada's Wonderland has 18 coasters, but how many of them are actually that good? I've yet to visit, but judging from the opinions of other coaster enthusiasts, it seems that among major and family coasters alike, 7 to 12 coasters are solid and the rest are very, very forgettable. That's a concerning amount of bad coasters. There's a Vekoma Boomerang, a Vekoma SLC, a Zemparo Volare. Not a great collection in terms of quality, but they certainly have the quantity at 18. While on that discussion, it seems like a good place to transition to Energylandia, 19 coasters. Energylandia has some very nice looking roller coasters at the top of their collection, but their collection is even more top-heavy than Canada's Wonderland. This place opened in just 2014, so in 10 years, they've amassed 19 coasters, which is really impressive. They had 3 opening day, and they got a few more in 2024. There were, of course, many more additions in between there, and this Zader Poland theme park has just continued to grow. But it's kind of a weird park. You have the newer sections of Energylandia that are well themed with well thought out attractions, and then you have the older sections of Energylandia that just don't really work and look cheap and like a carnival. Firstly, I would love to see Energylandia go back to these old sections and do some fixing, do some modifications, add some real theming, and maybe replace some of those old portable rides. This also might help reduce some of the redundancy we see in their ride lineup. 2 Vekoma Boomerangs and 3 Vekoma Junior coasters, it's just not necessary. This park has the second most amount of roller coasters in the world, and I think in a few years they will have the most, but it's just not as much quality as the first park on the list, and that is Six Flags Magic Mountain with 20 coasters. This is the only park on the list that I've had the pleasure to visit yet, and I've already made a full in-depth review covering everything you need to know about Magic Mountain. This Valencia, California park opened in 1971 with 2 coasters. This is one of the favorites of the Six Flags chain, and it receives new investment on a consistent basis. Their last coaster addition was in 2022 with Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. Unlike the last couple of parks we've talked about, Canada's Wonderland and Energylandia, Magic Mountain is mostly made up of good roller coasters. There are a few I didn't particularly enjoy, but that's the minority, not the majority. That's one of the reasons why, with quality and quantity, Magic Mountain is in contention for the best coaster lineup in the world. Six Flags has done a great job with this park, and even if Energylandia does indeed pass them up in the future for most coasters in the world like I think they will, they can't take away the fact that Magic Mountain was the first park to reach 20 coasters. And so with that, they stand at the top with the most coasters in the world. So there you have it, every park in the world that has 15 or more roller coasters as of June 2024. Let me know down in the comments which parks you've had an opportunity to visit. As I said, I've only visited the one, Six Flags Magic Mountain. I appreciate you all for taking 7 minutes out of your day to tune in, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.